Hi everybody. So this video is going to explain to you how you should show your work and do the problems on the angle relationships worksheet. So to do this, you are going to need a lined sheet of paper, 2 colored pencils, and then of course your pencil and a calculator. If we don't have all of those things, let's stop the video and get those now. So we're going to do 4 examples together. Follow along, and anything that I write down, I want you to write down as well. Now, on your paper, you can see that the angles were labeled in a slightly different way than we might be used to. So in example number 3, I see it says M with an angle symbol, so that stands for the measure of angle, and then it says KFH. So the first thing I want to talk about is how to find that particular angle in the drawing. So to do that, I want you to start with one of your colored pencils on the letter K. I want you to trace the line up to letter F, and then from there I want you to trace to letter H. That angle that we highlighted is angle KFH. Now we don't know what it is, so I'm going to put a question mark. And I use a different color, but you can go ahead and use the same one. That doesn't matter. And now we need to label the other angle, and that angle is angle HFQ. So again, same thing, if you put your pencil, your other colored pencil on the letter H, trace to F, and then to Q, that angle is HFQ, and we know it is 52 degrees. So the first thing you need to do is label your picture. Now you need to decide, are we looking at complementary angles, supplementary angles, or vertical angles? Whether or not they're adjacent, that does not matter, but the other 3 do. So this particular pair of angles are complementary. So now on your line sheet of paper, I'd like you to write, please, the number 3 so we can keep track of what problem we're working on. And I want you to write down that they are complementary. And you should be able to tell me that complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. So we're actually going to write an equation to do that. So where I have my question mark, I can use a variable to stand for that question mark. So I'm just going to use x. And because they're complementary, I know that if I add them together, x plus 52, they will equal 90 degrees, again, because they are complementary. Now we would work on solving that equation, and we are going to do that. The operation here is adding, so we are going to subtract 52 from both sides. And I didn't do it yet, but I will now draw my line down the center of my equal sign. The 52s cancel out, so I would bring down my x equals, and 90 minus 52, would be, sorry, I forgot to borrow, would be 38, not 48. So our missing angle is 38 degrees. Looking at question 5, I'm just going to change my highlighter color here. Okay, so we want to find the measure of angle YFD, so let's find that in our picture first. Put one colored pencil on Y, trace the line to F, and then from there trace up to D. That is angle YFD, and I'm going to fill that in with a question mark. That's the angle that we're trying to find. And from there, I'm going to change my highlighter color to something different. From there, we need to find the measure of angle EFD. So putting your colored pencil on E, trace to F. Let's try that again. There we go. From E, trace to F, and then trace up to D. That angle is given to us as 163 degrees. So again, notice I've labeled everything on my picture before I've done any kind of calculation. Now on my lined sheet of paper, I'm going to write the number 5. And we need to decide what kind of angles are these. Well, the two angles, when we put them together, I notice that they form a straight line. So these are supplementary angles. And yes, you do have to write out the word, and then you have to write out the equation. So supplementary angles, if I use a variable to replace the question mark, x plus 163, because they're supplementary, I know that they have to add up to 180 degrees. Solving this, I'd put the line through my equal sign. The operation here is addition, so I'm going to undo that with subtraction. I'm going to subtract 163 from both sides, which means the 163's cancel on one side. I'm going to bring down the x, bring down the equal sign, and 180 minus 163 leaves me with 17. So our missing angle, angle YFD, is 17 degrees. All right, moving on to number 7. Let's start with the measure of angle UMP. Now, in this picture in particular, it is very important that you trace your angles in correctly. In the other two problems, I'm going to scroll back, there were only 2 angles there, so it wasn't, it was pretty easy to kind of tell complementary or supplementary. But on number 7, there's 4 angles there. This gets a little bit trickier. So let's highlight UMP. Put your colored pencil at U, trace to M, and then trace up to P. That is angle UMP, where I will put my question mark. That's the angle we are trying to find. And then I want you to find, once I change my highlighter color, I want you to find the measure of angle KMP. So putting your colored pencil on K, trace to M, trace to P. That angle is 92 degrees. So now we have to figure out what kind of angles these are. If you cover up everything else in the picture except for the 2 angles that we traced, and let's see, I don't think I can do that very easily on here, but if you do it on your paper, what you should see is the 2 angles that you colored in form a straight line. These actually are supplementary angles. So on your lined paper, let's write number 7 and supplementary. And let's set up our equation. So using a variable instead of the question mark, x plus 92, since they're supplementary, the definition says they will add up to 180 degrees. So solving for the missing angle measurement now, you should see a pattern here. The operation is addition for all of these, so we undo that with subtraction. We're going to minus 92 on both sides. Then I need to bring down the x, bring down the equal sign. 180 minus 92 is 88 degrees. So angle UMP is 88 degrees. Last one. Looking at number 8, as you guessed it, let's highlight and figure out where these angles are first. So the measure of angle KMF, start at K, trace to M, and trace down to F. That's the angle we're finding, so put a question mark there. And then, bear with me, I just need to change my highlighter color. The measure of angle QME, well, to find QME, put your pencil at Q, trace over to M, trace up to E. That angle is 132 degrees. Now, if we look at the two angles that we filled in, they make an X shape. And again, you have to base this off of the angles that are labeled. This angle and this angle are not labeled with anything, so we don't pay attention to them. On our lined paper, this is number 8. These angles form an X shape, so the ones that we have labeled are vertical angles. And what we should have written down on our notes from yesterday is that vertical angles equal one another. So using a variable for the equal sign, I have X, it will equal 132 degrees. There is no other work, there's nothing to solve here, it's just 132 degrees. And yes, it is mandatory to show this work on your lined paper. So there's our answer. Now, your job for the remainder of the hour, oops, went one too far. Your job, number 1, I want you to finish your angle relationship worksheet as classwork. So that means whatever you get done in class, you get done in class. It is not homework. However, I will be collecting it and looking at it to make sure that you are working hard all hour. Number 2, you have the More Angles practice worksheet. If you don't have it yet, you will get it at the end of the hour. That is homework due tomorrow, which is Wednesday. And then don't forget, problems 1 through 6 in the pink packet are due on Thursday. So good luck with this, and I will see you guys on Thursday.